Welcome to Monk's Temple. Let me begin with a question that might feel strange. If I asked you where you live, you would probably describe your apartment, your house, your street. Those are real places. They matter. But what if I told you that you have other addresses, invisible ones, and you move between them constantly without ever packing a bag? Think about yesterday. Not what you did, but where you actually were inside yourself. Was there a moment when you felt completely consumed by something that was not even happening? A conversation from years ago played itself out again inside your head, and you felt the same heat in your chest, the same knot in your stomach, as if it was happening right then. You were not remembering the past. You were living inside it. Later that same day, maybe you found yourself drifting. You made coffee, but you do not remember pouring the water. You drove somewhere familiar, but you remember none of the turns. Your body performed the motions, but the real you was somewhere else, lost in a daydream about next weekend or a worry about tomorrow. You were there, but you were not there. And then, maybe just for a second, something shifted. You looked out a window and noticed the way light fell on a leaf. You heard a bird call. For one clear moment, there was no past, no future, no worry. There was only the leaf, the light, the sound, and you. Completely present. Completely awake. If you recognize even one of those moments, you have already visited multiple worlds. You just did not have a map. Buddhism has that map. It is ancient, over 2,500 years old, and it describes 31 distinct planes of existence. For centuries, people saw this as a literal geography of the afterlife. Real heavens floating in space. Real hells burning beneath the earth. Places your soul travels to after death based on your actions. That is one way to understand it. But there is another way to read this map. What if these 31 realms are not just destinations after death? What if they are places you are living in right now, this very hour? What if you died 3 times yesterday, were reborn twice, spent your morning in a heavenly state, your afternoon in a state of war, and fell asleep in a fog of confusion, and you never noticed because you thought the map was just an old story, not a mirror held up to your own heart? This is not about preparing for a journey after you die. This is about realizing you are on a journey at this very moment. It is about understanding why you sometimes feel like a stranger in your own life. Why you can have everything you thought you wanted and still feel a hollow ache that nothing fills. This map is the key. By the time we finish this exploration, you will know which world you woke up in this morning, and you will have the tools to finally unlock the door to real freedom. Before we go deeper, I want to pause. If the idea that your inner world is a vast, unexplored territory resonates with you, please take a second to hit the subscribe button. We are not just making videos here at Monk's Temple. We are building a community of people brave enough to look inward and ask difficult questions. Subscribing marks this spot on your inner map, a place to return whenever you need guidance. If you want to continue this journey with us, click that button. It truly means everything. Now, let us return to the map. The traditional texts organize these 31 realms into 3 main neighborhoods. The first is Kamaloka, the realm of desire. This is the busiest neighborhood. It includes the 4 lower realms of suffering, then our human realm, then 6 heavenly realms fueled by pleasure. It is noisy, crowded, and compelling. The second neighborhood is Rupaloka, the realm of form. It contains 16 realms accessed through deep meditative absorption. The senses grow still. Desire vanishes. But a subtle sense of form remains. It feels like being in a room so silent you can hear your own soul breathe. The third neighborhood is Arupaloka, the formless realm. For states where even form dissolves into boundlessness. Infinite space. Infinite consciousness. Nothingness. And a state so subtle it is called neither perception nor non-perception. 3 domains. 31 rooms. The ancient teaching is that every single one is still inside the same prison. Different cells. Some more comfortable. But none have a door to the outside. So how do we move between cells? Buddhism says these realms are fueled by 3 fires. 3 poisons. The first fire is craving. A thirst, a constant reaching. The feeling of not enough and the belief that one more will fix it. The second fire is aversion. Anger, hatred, fear, resentment. The clenched jaw when you hear someone's name. The third fire is confusion. The fog. The autopilot that runs your life while the real you is somewhere else. These 3 fires build the world you live in. Watch which one is burning, and you will know which realm you just entered. Let me tell you about a man named Victor. Victor was a successful architect. He designed award-winning buildings. But every evening, he would sit in his car in his own driveway for 20 minutes before going inside. He would stare at the garage door, feeling a heavy emptiness he could not explain. He had a loving wife, healthy children, a beautiful home. Everything he thought he wanted. But something was missing. He felt like a ghost haunting his own life. Victor did not know it yet, but he was about to take a tour of some very different worlds. Let us begin our tour of these realms by visiting the darkest room on the map. It is the one we all visit, even if we never speak of it. In the ancient texts, it is called Niraya, often translated as hell. But before you picture fire and demons with pitchforks, let us look at what hell actually feels like in your own life. It is 3 in the morning. You have been awake for an hour. Your body is exhausted, but your mind will not stop. It is running a film, a horror film, and you are the star. It shows you that email you should never have sent. It shows you the thing you said to your mother 10 years ago. It shows you the opportunity you watched slip through your fingers. Your mind is not just remembering. It is making you live there. You can feel the shame in your stomach, a hot, acidic knot. Your jaw is clenched so tight your teeth ache. Your heart is pounding. The past has become a torture chamber, and you are the only prisoner. Maybe your hell looks different. Maybe it is the anger you carry like a hot coal. Someone wronged you. They did something unfair, something cruel. And you are right to be angry. You prove it to yourself over and over, building an airtight case in your head. You replay the argument, finding better comebacks. You imagine their face when you finally deliver the perfect line. You are so busy building your case that you do not notice you have built a prison cell around yourself. The bars are made of your own righteousness. The fire is your own rage. And you are burning alive inside it. This is hell. It is not a place you go to after death for being a bad person. It is a place you create right here, right now, when you let the past become a weapon you turn on yourself, or when you hold on to anger so tightly it becomes your identity. Let me tell you about a woman named Elena. Elena was a teacher, beloved by her students, respected by her colleagues. But Elena had a secret. Every night, after her husband fell asleep, she would open her laptop and scroll through the social media profile of a woman she had not spoken to in 15 years. This woman had been her best friend in college. Then something happened. A betrayal, a crossed line, a friendship destroyed. Elena could not even remember the exact details anymore. But she remembered the feeling. And every night, she fed that feeling. She looked at this woman's vacation photos, her children, her happy life, and she felt the old anger rise up fresh and hot. She was not living her own life. She was living in a 15-year-old wound, tending it like a garden, watering it with her attention every single night. Elena was a resident of the hell realm, and she had no idea she held the key to her own cell. The Buddha spoke directly to this. In the Dhammapada, he said, hatred is never appeased by hatred in this world. By non-hatred alone is hatred appeased. This is an ancient truth. He was not being moralistic. He was being deeply practical. He was saying, if you are holding a burning ember and you want to stop the pain, the first step is to notice you are holding it. Just notice. From the searing heat of hell, let us move to a different kind of suffering. A quieter kind. A more pervasive kind. In the old texts, this is the realm of the pretas, the hungry ghosts. They are depicted with huge, empty bellies and throats as tiny as the eye of a needle. They are starving, dying of thirst, but no matter how much they try to consume, they can never get enough down to feel satisfied. They are the embodiment of chronic, incurable craving. Look at your own life. When was the last time you felt that? Maybe it is right now. You are scrolling through your phone. You open an app, close it, open another one. You are looking for something, but you do not know what. A notification pops up, and for a split second there is a tiny hit of something. Anticipation. Connection. You read it. It is nothing. So you scroll again. Refresh. Scroll. It is a hunger that feeds on itself. You are consuming, but you are not being nourished. Maybe your hungry ghost takes a different form. It is that feeling at the end of a vacation. You had a wonderful week. Beautiful scenery, good food, laughter. But on the last day, a familiar ache sets in. It was not enough. It is over. And already your mind is looking for the next trip, the next escape. The present moment was just a bus stop on the way to the next craving. Or maybe it is the hunger for approval. You post something online. You check the likes. 5, 10, 20. It feels good for a second. Then you check again an hour later. Still 20. The good feeling fades and is replaced by a tiny prickle of disappointment. Why did not more people like it? What is wrong with it? You are a hungry ghost, trying to fill an internal void with external validation. And like trying to fill a bottomless pit with a teaspoon, it is a task that can never be completed. The craving whispers, just one more, and then I will be okay. But that one more never comes. Let me tell you about a man named Samuel. Samuel was a collector. Not of stamps or coins. He collected experiences. He went to the best restaurants, the most exclusive clubs, the most talked about concerts. He was always chasing the next thing. His conversation was a catalogue of things he had done and places he had been. But if you sat with Samuel long enough, you would notice something. His eyes were always moving, always scanning the room for something better, something he might be missing. He could never fully arrive anywhere because he was already reaching for the next thing. Samuel was a hungry ghost in an expensive suit, starving at a banquet of his own making. Leaving the realm of perpetual hunger, we step into a world of constant conflict. In Pali, it is called the Asura realm. The Asuras are sometimes called titans or jealous gods. They are powerful, ambitious, and successful. They have almost everything the gods have. But they cannot enjoy any of it. Why? Because they are too busy looking at what everyone else has. Their entire existence is a competition. You will know you have entered this realm when a friend shares good news. They got a promotion. They are engaged. They bought a house. And a part of you, a part you are not proud of, feels a cold, sharp pang. It is not happiness for them. It is a quick internal calculation. Are they now ahead of me? Does their win mean I have lost? You smile. You say all the right things. But inside, the Asura is sharpening its claws. Maybe it shows up in a meeting at work. A colleague presents an idea. It is a good idea. Your brain, however, does not hear the idea. It immediately starts looking for the flaw, the weakness, the reason why your idea, which you have not even shared yet, is better. You are not listening to collaborate. You are listening to compete. You are building a case for why you are smarter, more valuable, more worthy. It can be even subtler. You are in a conversation, and instead of truly listening, you are just waiting for your turn to speak. You are not interested in understanding them. You are looking for an opening to tell your own story, share your own achievement, offer your own superior opinion. The entire world becomes a race. Everyone else is a potential rival. You are at war, and the battlefield is every single interaction. Let me tell you about a woman named Diana. Diana was a lawyer at a top firm. She was brilliant, driven, and successful by any measure. She had a corner office, a six-figure salary, and a reputation for never losing a case. But Diana had no friends. Not really. She had colleagues she worked with, rivals she competed against, and acquaintances she saw at firm events. But she had no one she could call at 3 in the morning if something went wrong. She had no one who knew her real self, because she had buried that self so deep under layers of achievement and competition that even she could not find it anymore. Diana lived in the Asura realm. She was winning at life, and it was killing her. The tragedy of the Asura realm is that it is full of capable, successful people who are utterly incapable of experiencing joy. Because joy requires a moment of forgetting yourself. And the Asura can never, ever forget themselves. Every conversation is a performance. Every relationship has a scorecard. Every moment of peace is just a temporary ceasefire before the next battle. From the constant anxious striving of the Asura, we move to a realm that might seem, at first, like a relief. It is the animal realm, or Tyrakanaoni. In the old maps, this is the world of creatures driven by instinct. Eat, sleep, mate, survive, repeat. No reflection. No self-awareness. No ability to question. And this is a realm we visit far more often than we would like to admit. Have you ever driven home from work and arrived at your front door with absolutely no memory of the journey? You made turns. You stopped at lights. You navigated traffic. But you were completely absent. Your hands knew what to do. Your eyes saw the road. But the pilot was asleep. That is the animal realm. Have you ever eaten an entire meal, a bag of chips, a sandwich, a bowl of pasta, and then looked down at the empty plate and realized you did not taste a single bite? Your mouth was chewing. Your stomach was digesting. But you were somewhere else, worrying about tomorrow or regretting yesterday. That is the animal realm. Have you ever had a whole conversation with your partner or your child, nodded and said aha in all the right places, and then 2 minutes later they asked you a question about what they just said, and you had absolutely no idea what they were talking about? Your body was there. Your voice made sounds. But you were gone. That is the animal realm. Let me tell you about a man named Thomas. Thomas was a software engineer. He was good at his job, reliable, steady. He showed up every day, did his work, went home. He loved his family. He was a good father. But Thomas had a problem he could not name. His life was passing in a blur. Weeks disappeared. Months disappeared. He would look at photos from his daughter's birthday and realize he had almost no memory of the day itself. He had been there. He had taken the photos. But he had not been present. He had been running on autopilot, a ghost at his own party, watching his life from a great distance without ever really touching it. This realm, the animal realm, is not characterized by pain or craving or anger. It is characterized by absence. It is a thick, comfortable fog. It is autopilot. It is the path of least resistance. It is not that animals are stupid. It is that they are not aware that they are aware. They live in a world of pure stimulus and response. When we are on autopilot, so do we. We are alive, but we are not awake. We are going through the motions of a life, but we are not actually living it. Let me tell you another story, about a woman named Grace. Grace was a nurse. She worked 12-hour shifts in a busy hospital, caring for patients who were often scared and in pain. She was wonderful at her job. Patients loved her. Families thanked her. But Grace had a secret ritual. Every evening, after her shift ended, she would sit in her car in the hospital parking lot for 45 minutes. She would not do anything. She would just sit there, staring at the dashboard, letting the numbness wash over her. She was not thinking. She was not feeling. She was just waiting to feel enough like herself to drive home and be a wife and mother. Grace was spending hours every week in the animal realm, using it as a buffer zone between her work self and her real self, unaware that the buffer was eating away at both. Now, after touring these realms of suffering, conflict, hunger, and oblivion, we come to a realm that is uniquely precious. The human realm, or Manasaloka. In the vast cosmology of the 31 planes, it is not the highest. It is not the most pleasurable. It is certainly not the most powerful. But it is the most important. It is the only realm with a door. Remember the old analogy from the Buddhist texts. The Buddha asked his monks, which is more likely? That a blind sea turtle, surfacing once every 100 years, would stick its head through a single yolk floating at random on the vast ocean? Or that one would be born as a human? The chance of that turtle finding the yolk is the chance of finding this human life. It is that rare. It is that precious. But why? What makes this realm so special? Think about the other realms for a moment. The hell beings are too consumed by pain to do anything but suffer. The hungry ghosts are too driven by craving to do anything but consume. The animals are too lost in instinct to do anything but react. The asuras are too busy competing to ever stop and question. The gods in the heavenly realms are too drunk on pleasure to ever seek anything more. Only humans have the perfect, razor's edge balance. We have enough suffering to be motivated to find a way out of it. We have enough pleasure to know what peace feels like. And we have enough intelligence, enough self-awareness, to actually ask the question. Is this it? Is there another way? You feel the human realm when you are about to send that angry text. Your thumb hovers over the screen. Your anger is a fire in your chest, screaming at you to do it, to let them have it. And then, in a tiny gap between the impulse and the action, something else appears. It is not a thought exactly. It is more like a space. And in that space, you see yourself. You see the anger. You see the impulse. And because you see it, you do not have to obey it. You do not send the text. That gap is the human realm. You feel the human realm when you are reading a book and a sentence stops you cold. You do not just read it and move on. You put the book down. You stare at the wall. You turn the idea over in your mind, looking at it from different angles, feeling its weight and texture. You are thinking, not just reacting. That is the human realm. You are in the human realm right now. You are deep into a long video about an ancient Buddhist map. You could have clicked away 100 times. You could have gone to sleep. But you did not. You are still here. You are curious. You are seeking. You are asking the most fundamental human question. What is this? What am I? That question, that capacity to wonder, is the door. And you are holding the key. Let me tell you about a man named Henry. Henry was a retired postal worker. He had spent 35 years delivering mail, walking the same routes, seeing the same faces. After he retired, he expected to feel free. Instead, he felt lost. He would wake up in the morning with nowhere to go, nothing to do. His wife would find him sitting in his armchair, staring out the window for hours. She worried about him. One day, she signed him up for a volunteer program at the local library, reading stories to children. Henry did not want to go. But he went. And something happened. As he sat in that little chair, reading aloud to a circle of wide-eyed children, he forgot himself. He forgot he was a retired postal worker with nothing to do. He forgot his aches and his worries. He was just there, in the story, in the moment, completely alive. For the first time in years, Henry had stumbled into the human realm. Let me tell you another story about the human realm, because it is so easy to miss. A woman named Patricia ran a small bakery. She woke up every morning at 4, long before the sun, to mix dough and light the ovens. For years, she did this on autopilot, her hands moving while her mind wandered through worries about rent and staff and competition. Then one morning, something shifted. She was shaping loaves, her hands deep in flour, and she suddenly noticed the feeling. The cool softness of the dough. The smell of yeast waking up. The warmth of the oven radiating against her cheek. For the first time in years, she was not somewhere else. She was right there, in her bakery, at 4 in the morning, completely alive. That was the human realm. It had been available to her every single day. She just had not been home to receive it. Now the map does not stop with the human realm. Above it, in the traditional cosmology, are the 6 sense-sphere heavens, the Deva realms. These are places of intense, refined pleasure. The beings there live for eons in palaces of light and crystal, surrounded by beauty, music, and perfect companionship. They have everything they could possibly desire. Sounds pretty good, right? But here is the catch. They have everything they desire, so they never desire anything more. They never question. They never seek. Their happiness is so complete, so all-encompassing, that the thought, is there something beyond this, never even arises. They are perfectly, blissfully trapped. You have visited these heavens. Maybe it was the first 3 days of a vacation, when the stress of work finally melted away, and you just floated in a pool of pure relaxation. For a little while, it was perfect. But then day 4 arrived, and the relaxation started to feel a little normal. Maybe a little boring. The heavens started to fade. Maybe it was the first year of a new relationship, when every moment with that person felt electric, magical, like you were the only 2 people in the universe. That is a heaven realm. But then real life crept in. Bills, disagreements, annoying habits. The heaven faded. Maybe it was getting that thing you worked so hard for. The promotion, the car, the acceptance letter. For a day, a week, maybe a month, it felt incredible. You had made it. You were happy. But then the new car became your car. The new job became your job. The happiness did not disappear exactly. It just became the new baseline. And before you knew it, you were looking at the next promotion, the next car, the next achievement. The heaven realm was a trap. It convinced you that pleasure was the answer, and then it took the pleasure away, leaving you right back where you started. Let me tell you about a woman named Irene. Irene was a wealthy woman. She had inherited money, married more money, and lived in a beautiful house overlooking the ocean. She traveled whenever she wanted, bought whatever she pleased, and wanted for nothing. Her friends envied her. But Irene had a secret she told no one. She was bored. Deeply, profoundly bored. Not the kind of boredom that comes from having nothing to do, but the kind that comes from having everything and feeling nothing. She would sit on her terrace, watching the sunset over the water she owned, and feel absolutely nothing. No gratitude. No joy. No peace. Just a hollow, echoing emptiness. Irene was living in a heaven realm, and it was slowly killing her soul. The ancient texts say that the gods in these heavens live for millions of years. They have no physical pain, no emotional distress. But one day, a sign appears. Their divine flowers wilt. Their bodies begin to sweat. Their light dims. They know, with absolute certainty, that their time in heaven is ending, and they are about to fall. And because they spent their entire existence enjoying the fruits of their past good karma, without planting a single new seed of wisdom, they fall unprepared. They fall hard. The heaven realm is a paradise, but it is a paradise with a trapdoor. Beyond these 6 heavens, the map shows 16 more realms. These are the form realms, the Rupaloka. They are accessed not through good deeds or fortunate circumstances, but through deep meditative absorption. These are states of consciousness so refined that desire completely disappears. The senses grow still. The mind becomes utterly unified. You might have touched the edge of this realm without knowing it. Have you ever been so completely absorbed in something that you forgot your body? You forgot the time. You forgot where you were. There was only the activity itself, flowing through you without effort. Athletes call it the zone. Psychologists call it flow. Painters know it. Musicians know it. Writers know it. It is a state of such complete presence that the usual sense of a separate self doing something dissolves. There is just the doing. There is just the being. Let me tell you about a man named Marcus. Marcus was a carpenter, but that word does not really capture what he did. He built furniture by hand, the old way, without power tools or shortcuts. He would choose a single piece of walnut or cherry and spend weeks shaping it, listening to the wood, letting it tell him what it wanted to become. When Marcus worked, something strange happened. He would enter his workshop in the morning, and it would feel like no time had passed when he looked up and saw darkness outside. His back would ache, but he had not noticed the ache until that moment. His mind had been completely elsewhere, or rather, completely here, so fully present that the usual commentary, the usual sense of a self watching a self, had simply stopped. Marcus was touching the form realms, the Rupaloka, without any spiritual training, without any Buddhist vocabulary. He just knew that in those moments, he was more alive than at any other time. These are beautiful, profound states. They are glimpses of a consciousness unfettered by the usual chattering self. The ancient Buddhist masters mastered these states completely. They could enter them at will and stay there for hours, even days. They experienced bliss and peace beyond anything the sense-sphere heavens could offer. But then they would come out of it. They would open their eyes, and the world would be there. And they would ask themselves the most important question a human being can ask. Is this it? Is this the end of the journey? And their wisdom told them, no. Even this is still a creation. Even this refined state is something that arises and passes away. And anything that arises and passes away is, by its very nature, unsatisfactory. It is still a cage. It is just a much, much more beautiful cage. Let me tell you another story, about a woman named Nadia. Nadia was a concert pianist. She had trained since childhood, practiced 8 hours a day, and performed in the greatest concert halls in the world. When she played, especially the late Beethoven sonatas, she would enter a state she could never quite describe. Her fingers moved, but she was not telling them where to go. The music flowed through her like water through a channel. She would finish a 40-minute sonata and have no memory of playing it, only a profound sense of having been somewhere else, somewhere wordless and vast. After concerts, people would come backstage to praise her, and she would smile and nod, but inside she felt like a fraud. She knew, better than anyone, that it was not really her playing. Something else was playing through her. Nadia was touching the form realms regularly, and like Marcus, she had no framework for understanding what they were. She only knew that ordinary life, the life of conversations and errands and small talk, felt unbearably flat in comparison. Beyond even these 16 form realms, the map shows 4 more territories. The formless realms, the Arupaloka. These are states so subtle that they have no shape, no image, no location. They are accessed by letting go of even the most refined perception of form. The first is the realm of infinite space. Imagine a bird that has been trapped in a cage its whole life. One day, the cage door opens. The bird does not just fly out. It expands. It becomes the sky itself. That is a hint of this realm. All sense of a solid self, a me located inside a body, dissolves. There is only an awareness of space, vast and unbounded. The second is the realm of infinite consciousness. Having seen the infinity of space, the mind now turns back on itself. It is not aware of space anymore. It is aware of the awareness itself. And it sees that this awareness is just as vast, just as infinite, as the space it was just observing. It is a state of pure, boundless knowing. There is nothing but consciousness, shining by itself. The third is the realm of nothingness. This is a subtle step beyond even infinite consciousness. The mind lets go of the perception of consciousness too. It does not perceive anything. It does not perceive nothing. It just rests in the experience of absence, of utter emptiness. It is like finally, completely, letting go of a heavy weight you did not even know you were carrying. The fourth and final formless realm is called neither perception nor non-perception. It is the most refined state a human mind can experience. It is so subtle that you cannot even say it is a state of perception, because there is nothing to perceive. But you cannot say it is a state of non-perception, because it is not a blank unconsciousness. It is a kind of radiant, aware stillness that is the absolute limit of conditioned experience. Let me tell you about a woman named Simone. Simone was a meditation practitioner for over 30 years. She had sat countless retreats, studied with famous teachers, and could access deep states of concentration. One day, after a particularly profound meditation, she felt something she had never felt before. A kind of opening, a vastness, as if the walls of her mind had dissolved. For a period of time she could not measure, there was no Simone. There was no body, no breath, no thought. There was just awareness, infinite and empty, aware of itself. When she came out of it, she wept. Not from sadness, but from the shock of recognition. She had touched something real, something beyond the usual self. But then, over the following weeks, something else happened. She found herself wanting to go back. She found herself measuring her daily meditations against that one peak experience, finding them lacking, feeling disappointed. The memory of that formless realm had become a new craving, a new attachment, a new cage. She had touched freedom and then turned it into another prison. Simone's story is a warning. It shows that even the most refined, most exalted states can become traps if we cling to them. The formless realms are still realms. They still arise and pass away. They are still within the prison. They are just the quietest cells, the ones farthest from the noise, but cells nonetheless. This brings us to the most uncomfortable, and most liberating, question of all. Why do we keep ending up in the same few rooms? You do not visit all 31 realms equally. You have your favorites. The places your mind returns to again and again, like a familiar, worn-out path in a forest. Some people are practically permanent residents of the hungry ghost realm. Every conversation is an opportunity to get something. Approval, admiration, information they can use. Every moment of stillness is an anxiety to be filled with scrolling, snacking, or shopping. Their entire experience is one of reaching. They are professional consumers, and they are perpetually malnourished. Some people have built their entire identity in the Asura realm. For them, life is a zero-sum game. A friend's success is their failure. A stranger's happiness is an implicit critique of their own discontent. They are brilliant, driven, and utterly miserable, because they live in a world where everyone is a rival and peace is just a temporary ceasefire. Some people have gone numb in the animal realm. They are good people, reliable people. They show up, they do their work, they love their families. But they are not really there. They are sleepwalking through the only life they have. They have traded the pain of awareness for the comfort of oblivion, and they have forgotten they even made the trade. And some people, the lucky or the cursed, have tasted the heavens and become addicted. They chase the peak experiences. The perfect vacation, the perfect relationship, the perfect meditation. They measure the value of their lives by the height of the highs. They do not see that the chase itself is the trap. They are like a person who refuses to leave a beautiful room because they are afraid the hallway outside will be ugly. Let me tell you about a man named Philip. Philip was a successful entrepreneur. He had started 3 companies, sold 2, and was working on his 4th. He was wealthy, respected, and admired. But Philip had a pattern. Every time he achieved a goal, every time he reached a milestone he had been working toward for years, he would feel good for about a week. Then the feeling would fade, and a new restlessness would set in. He would start looking for the next mountain to climb, the next challenge to conquer. He never stopped to ask why the view from the top never satisfied him for long. He just kept climbing. Philip was cycling through the realms unconsciously, using the energy of the Asura realm to climb, tasting brief moments in the heaven realm at each summit, and then falling back into the hungry ghost realm as he reached for the next peak. He was exhausted, and he did not even know why. You do not fall into these realms by accident. You train yourself to enter them. Every single time you indulge a craving without questioning it, you are carving the neural pathway to the hungry ghost realm a little deeper. It gets smoother, more automatic. The pull of that realm gets stronger. Every time you rehearse an old resentment, you are not just remembering a hurt. You are strengthening the gravity of hell. You are building a more efficient trap for yourself. Every time you choose to zone out instead of show up, you are paying the animal realm a visit and leaving a deposit. You are telling the universe, and yourself, this is what I prefer. This is what I practice. This is the real meaning of karma. It is not a cosmic point system. It is not a judge in the sky keeping score. Karma is simply practice. It is habit. It is momentum. What you practice, you become. If you practice being a hungry ghost for an hour a day for 10 years, what do you think will happen when you wake up tomorrow morning? Which realm will feel most familiar, most comfortable, most like you? You are not choosing which realm to enter consciously. You are being pulled by gravitational forces you have spent your entire life strengthening. The Abhidhamma, one of Buddhism's most profound and detailed psychological texts, teaches that karma is not about good or bad in a moral sense. It is about the quality of the moment of consciousness. Every moment of consciousness is a karma. It is a seed. And that seed, conditioned by habit, will ripen into a future experience. The world you are experiencing right now is the ripened fruit of past seeds. And the seeds you are planting right now, with every thought, every word, every deed, are the blueprint for the worlds you will inhabit tomorrow, next year, and in the next moment after death. Let me tell you about a woman named Olivia. Olivia was a recovering people-pleaser. For decades, she had shaped herself to fit what others wanted. She said yes when she meant no. She smiled when she was furious. She apologized for things that were not her fault. She did this so automatically, for so many years, that she had lost touch with what she actually felt. Her own preferences, her own desires, her own boundaries had become a distant country she no longer knew how to visit. Olivia had practiced the hungry ghost realm so thoroughly, seeking approval and validation from everyone around her, that she had erased herself in the process. But here is the good news. The most important word in that entire explanation is practice. Because if you can practice being in hell, you can also practice being in the human realm. And the human realm is the only place where you can see the practice for what it is. Right now, pause for a second. Just pause. Look at the room you are in. Do not think about it. Just see it. Feel the weight of your body in the chair. Feel the air on your skin. Hear the sounds, whatever they are. The hum of a machine. The wind outside. The silence. Are you actually here? Or are you already thinking about what you will do when this video ends? Are you present, or are you a ghost haunting your own life, already living in the future? Check in with yourself. What is the dominant feeling right now? Is there a subtle craving to skip ahead, to get to the useful part of the video? That is the hungry ghost, reaching. Is there a mental argument happening? Are you disagreeing with something, building a case in your head for why I am wrong? That is the Asura, competing. Is the mind starting to drift, getting foggy, thinking about what to have for dinner? That is the animal realm, escaping into oblivion. Is there just a quiet curiosity, a simple presence? That is the human realm. That is you, awake. When a realm is active, it feels total. It feels like this is who I am. The anger feels like you. The craving feels like you. The numb emptiness feels like you. But here is the secret that the map is showing you. The realm is just a weather pattern passing through the sky of your awareness. It is happening, but it is not you. There is awareness watching the realm. And the moment you see it, the moment you recognize, this is the hungry ghost realm, the spell is broken. The identification is severed. You are no longer a hungry ghost. You are a human being who is noticing the presence of craving. That noticing is the door. Let me tell you about a man named George. George was a high school teacher. He loved his students, loved his subject, but he had a temper. Small things would set him off. A student talking during his lecture. A colleague taking credit for his idea. A driver cutting him off in traffic. His anger would flare hot and fast, and he would say things he later regretted. He had tried to control it, tried to count to 10, tried everything, but nothing worked. Then one day, he tried something different. He was in the middle of a furious reaction, his face hot, his voice rising, when he suddenly stepped back inside himself and just watched. He did not try to stop the anger. He just watched it. He noticed the heat in his chest. He noticed the tightness in his jaw. He noticed the thoughts racing through his mind, each one a sharper weapon than the last. And in that watching, something shifted. The anger was still there, but it was no longer him. It was just a weather system passing through. George had stumbled into the human realm in the middle of what would have been a hell realm episode. That moment changed everything for him. The practice, then, becomes beautifully simple. It is not about stopping the realms from arising. That is impossible. The realms are the natural weather of the conditioned mind. The practice is simply to notice. Notice the feeling as a feeling. Notice the thought as a thought. Notice the realm as a realm. Name it, very softly, in your mind. Hell. Hungry ghost. Asura. Animal. Do not judge it. Do not try to push it away. Just acknowledge it. Ah, there you are. I see you. This simple act of recognition is mindfulness. It is remembering what you forgot. You forgot you were just the sky, and you got lost in the storm. Naming the storm reminds you of the sky. I want you to try something. For the rest of today, just one day, be a cartographer of your own mind. Get a notebook or open the Notes app on your phone. Draw 6 simple lines, creating 7 columns. Label them. Hell. Hungry ghost. Asura. Animal. Human. Heaven. And one more for any glimpses of the deeper realms. Throughout the day, just put a tiny mark in the column for the realm you are in. Be honest. Do not try to have more good marks. Just observe. How many minutes did you spend in hell today, replaying an old shame? How many in hungry ghost, reaching for your phone, for food, for approval? How many in Asura, comparing and competing? How many in animal, just going through the motions on autopilot? How many in human, truly present and aware? How many in heaven, enjoying a moment of genuine, uncomplicated pleasure? At the end of the day, just look at the marks. Do not judge them. Just see them. You will learn more from that one day of honest observation than from reading 100 books about Buddhism. You will have your own data. You will see your own personal geography. You will know where you actually live. And if you do this for a week, a month, a year, you will start to see the patterns. You will see the triggers. Ah, every time I talk to this person, I immediately go to Asura. Ah, every time I am tired, I fall into the animal realm. Ah, every time I am alone on a Friday night, I visit the hungry ghost. Seeing the pattern is the beginning of being free from it. Let me tell you one final story, about a woman named Ruth. Ruth was in her late 70s. She had lived a full life, raised children, buried a husband, traveled the world. Now she lived alone in a small apartment, and her body was failing her. Her knees hurt. Her hands shook. She could no longer do the things she loved. Most people would have called her situation tragic. But Ruth had something rare. She had learned, over decades of living, how to watch her own mind. When the pain in her knees flared up, she would notice the hell realm trying to pull her in. She would feel the fear, the frustration, the despair. And she would name them, softly, in her mind. Hell realm. Fear. Despair. She did not fight them. She just watched them arise and pass away. And because she watched them, they did not consume her. They visited, like weather, and then moved on. Ruth spent most of her days in the human realm, awake and aware, even as her body fell apart around her. She was the freest person I have ever known. This is the power of the map. It is not a philosophy to believe in. It is a tool to use. It is a pair of glasses that lets you see the architecture of your own experience. And once you see it, you can navigate it with wisdom instead of being pushed around by unconscious forces. So here we are, at the end of this long exploration. We have traveled through 31 worlds. We have visited the hells of our own making. We have felt the endless hunger of craving. We have battled in the arena of competition. We have slept through large chunks of our lives in a comfortable fog. We have tasted heavenly pleasures and seen how they fade. We have glimpsed the subtle, blissful states of deep concentration and seen that even they are not the final destination. And we have come back to where we started. To you. Right now. Reading these words. The question is not which realm you will go to when you die. The question is, which realm are you in right now? And are you in it consciously, or are you just a puppet, being moved by forces you do not see? The 31 planes of existence are not a map of a distant cosmos. They are a map of your own heart. They are the 31 rooms in the house of your own mind. You have been in at least 5 of them today. Maybe more. And the beautiful, terrifying, liberating truth is this. You are not a permanent resident of any of them. You are the one who visits. You are the awareness in which all these realms appear and disappear. You are the sky, not the weather. A lot of people live and die having only ever explored a few small, dark rooms in the basement of their own being. They never go upstairs. They never open the curtains. They never feel the sun on their face. But it does not have to be that way. The door is always open. The key is awareness. When you feel the hot rush of anger, pause and whisper, Hell realm. See if the fire does not dim just a little. When you feel that familiar, empty reach for your phone, pause and whisper, Hungry ghost. See if you can feel the craving without having to feed it, just for a moment. When you feel the urge to compete, to prove you are right, to tear someone else down to build yourself up, pause and whisper, Azura realm. And then do the opposite. Offer a genuine compliment. Listen without preparing your response. See what that feels like. When you catch yourself sleepwalking, going through the motions, pause and whisper, Animal realm. And then do just one thing with your full attention. Taste your coffee. Feel the water on your skin in the shower. Really look at the person you are talking to. That is all. Just notice. Just name it. That tiny act of noticing is the most powerful thing you can do. It is the practice. It is the path. It is the door. You died 3 times yesterday. You were lost in hell. You were a hungry ghost. You were an animal. But you also woke up. You had moments of human awareness. Maybe even a glimpse of something vast and peaceful. And that is what matters. Not that you fell into the realms, but that you have the capacity to wake up from them. The 31 worlds are not out there. They are in here. And the one who is reading this, the one who is aware of reading this, is already free. They just forgot. The map is to help you remember. Thank you for spending this time with me at Monk's Temple. May you see your realms clearly, and may you find the door that is always open. I will see you in the next one.